It's my honor to introduce Representative Carl Newton to give us a legislative update.
Well, I think you're stuck with me to begin with again. Bryce is, he had doubts. He called me, texted me at 6:30 this morning. He says, I don't know if I'm going to make it. It's hailing over here. So anyway, he is on his way. He's running a little bit late. And so I guess you get to start with the freshman. Freshman impression. I'd like to know what you guys want to talk about, but I'll just let you know where we're at right now in our set. We are working on Senate bills. We've given all the House bills to them, and we're looking at all the Senate bills right now, and by the end of next week we will have heard all the Senate bills. I know the number one topic on our minds is budget, and I know that anybody that has any state funding, that's number one on their mind too. And so we are working at some. The thing you have to look at to do a revenue, what we call revenue producing item, what we would call, I used to call before I got in the legislature, taxes. To do that, to pass a tax of any kind or revenue producing of any kind, it has to have 75% of the vote. And I'm seeing a frustration there on my part because it's hard to get 75%. In fact, we're over 75% if you want to know the truth, because we've lost 3 legislators out of the House of Representatives. One by death just this last week, who, by the way, if I could have just one personal moment, he was a super Christian individual, super nice guy, kind. For us freshmen, he would always greet us and talk to us and everything like that. And anyway, he was only 56, so but he was a super nice guy, and so that was weighing heavy on everybody's heart this week. But so now we're down to, well, you have 101 people in the House. Now you're down to 98, and then of that 98, I have to have 76 yay votes to pass them. It's not percent-wise or percent of people present. It is number of people in the room, and you have to have 76. So that only leaves you 22 people that can be against something, and you're not going to pass it. And I know if you guys look back at the general elections over the last few years, how many people won by more than 76%?
Sure, I'll send it back.
Not a lot, right? Not a lot of your community questions passed by that many, you know? And so that's the frustration I'm dealing with. I mean, not that I want to tax you guys to death, but I think it's our responsibility to come back with a balanced budget. And I mean, my what we call A&P subcommittee, or the finance committee that I'm vice chair of, we only control 2% of the budget. So we're looking at that, and those 12 agencies that are under that 2%, 12, which are pretty important: Ag, Commerce, Department of Commerce, Department of DEQ, your Water Resources Board, which is rural water and all that. All those things come under this one committee. And I've looked at them very seriously, and they have cut. Over the last 10 years, most of those have cut 30 to 40% of their budget. So, you know, if we start cutting further, I don't know where we're going to hurt. Now, we are looking at incentives. As you guys know, this last, the governor, I think, this week signed the wind bill, okay? So we have cut. There are no more wind chargers going to be active. If they're not up and running by July 1st, they will not get the incentives that they have been offered, okay? Now, I noticed, first time all week, I turned on the TV last night and watched the news. And I saw Barry Switzer was on there. Have you guys seen Barry Switzer's commercial?
Yes.
And anyway, they're after the wind again. But I'm afraid, folks, if we go any more cuts this year, well, I mean, any more cuts than what they've given them this promise, okay, that they're going to get these incentives for 10 years. If we do any more cuts at this time, we're going to get sued. But I just feel like that's what's going to happen. We'll get sued. And that's going to run out into a lawsuit and all that. And so I'm willing to look at that and talk about it, but right now we've cut wind. We cut them off on getting any more incentives from the state, which I don't know that was a good deal in the long run, but we're stuck with what we got. And we did pass 3 small revenue. I laugh a little bit. It was only $44 million that we did cut, and that compared to 870. Or actually, if you appropriate everything appropriately, it's closer to $1 billion. I'm not used to these big numbers, but I'm getting there. But with that said, we did. I don't know if you guys knew. Did you know that you did not have to pay ticket? You did not have to pay any tax on Thunder tickets. Didn't know that, did you? So that's one of the things. We took that away, or we voted that and sent it to the Senate. There was some other small things. Probably the biggest thing we did this week was we capped the income tax from dropping another 0.5%. Okay, if you guys didn't know, we could reach a certain economic point, we'll drop the income tax. It's either 1/4 or 0.5%. Remember, some of the newspapers said 1/4, some said it was going to go to 0.5, but it's at 5%, and so we have held it steady there. We're not going to decrease that anymore. And we don't know that we would have hit that economic trigger, but we just didn't want it to have a balance come in, cash flow be high at one point, and you hit that trigger, and then them to take that other 0.5% out. But in looking at that, and I'm just being as visible, transparent to you as I can be, folks. We had 5 people that debated that. Okay, 4 of them were for it, 1 of them was against, and we still only got about 67% of the people to vote for it, or 70% maybe. I don't think it was quite that high, but you can see that something that was pretty economic, and it was Minority Leader Scott Inman, who just filed for governor from the Democratic side. He got up and spoke with it, and so it did pass, and I'm glad for that, because I think we need the whole thing steady. You say, what are we looking at? We're looking at everything right now. Things like cutting Thunder tickets, the tax incentives, the wind energy, the gross production. We are also looking at a deal on gross production on the oil field. All those things only require a 51% vote. It's just if you're going to start a new revenue producing item. So right now we're looking at all those 51s, but what we call 51 votes. And then after that, we're going to turn around and look and see what's left and see where we attack to get their 76. But that gets to be difficult. So that being said, I had my notes. I didn't look at it. Sorry.
Question on income.
Yes, sir.
Everybody knows that we're so low in our income. Is the legislature thinking about doing some things that would bring in income now without raising everybody's taxes so high, and then a contingency to go ahead and look at some things that they might be able to do the following year? You can't make it all up in one year, I don't think.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. As far as that's concerned, we've even talked about bringing in, there's been recommended bump the income tax back up 0.5% for a year, for 3 years, till we think how things stabilize, and then go from there. Just leave it, put a cutoff date on it. So, we're looking at that. Did that answer your question, or not?
Halfway.
Seems like sometimes that's about as good as I get.
There you go.
Yes, Doctor.
Fuel and diesel taxes, are they 76%
They're
vote?
76 votes. Yeah, to raise.
Because we're lower than any state around us.
Yeah. We're looking at. can't say that. Okay. I'm not. Yes, we're looking. I mean, to be honest with you, we're looking at that. We're looking at the income tax. We just got to find out what's more palatable. Yes, we're looking at a cigarette tax.
Oh, God.
Just for you. Did you want me to double that?
Yeah, go ahead and double it. I will quit.
You heard it here first.
With that wind tax and everything, we're supposed to be getting what? 88 windmills here in the Winoka School District and the Alva School District
Yes,
this
sir.
summer. Is that going to stop that, do you think?
So far, I have not heard that that project is moving forward.
Okay,
But there is one out in the Panhandle they did say they were going to stop.
really?
I have also heard that Clean Line, you guys heard about Clean Line? I've heard that they have put a hold on it right at the moment. They've got to have enough energy out here to ship it across and to go across. Now, for the school districts that Clean Line, or the counties that the Clean Line goes through, it's a nice benefit. For those that it's not in, it doesn't help that much. And that's the kicker I'm learning about ad valorem. Would that be a true statement? You good?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
I mean, those things that, I mean,
Anything that we've got in our school district, pipelines, electric lines, all of that comes under that ad valorem.
yeah, 1846, I believe, was the one that came through. It was on the House side, got out of the House and went to the Senate. And it was what it was going to do is, you've heard of that off the top money we've talked about all this time, and that's more than half of your budget's off the top that we don't get to touch. And some people say that's a good thing. You don't let the legislators touch it. And so, but we were going to take that off the top money because we don't get credit for it if it's in the off the top money that set on. They look at our budget from only that money that we appropriate out, okay, that we have control over. And so that's why we get a lot of 49 and 50s out of 50 states, because they don't look at that off the top money. A lot of that goes to roads and bridges, a lot of that goes to education. And part of that was the oil and gas money that was appropriated in there, and that was going to bring that out. But when they did that, they were going to change it and put it on the formula. We didn't find this out until after that they were going to put, well, it came in there, but I didn't understand it. And I don't think any of the superintendents let me know until after it passed. So we've got that stopped, but that only affects 37 schools in the state now. And that means those that aren't on the formula. You know what schools that affects?
Northwest Oklahoma.
All the schools in Woods County, which would be Winoka, Freedom, and Alva, okay? And then it also would affect Burlington in Alfalfa County, and then the only one that's even part of it's in my district is Fort Supply. The rest of the schools it wouldn't affect. All the others are on the formula, but that one isn't. So, when you're moving things around, you think, well, it's going to be the same. Well, a lot of times they change the rules as they move things. So we're looking at that. So, other questions? Yes.
Question. Thank you for your service, and thank you for the vote on the trigger. I think that's a good vote right now
Yeah.
at this point. I'm kind of to the point of looking at worst case scenario. Said she will veto if there aren't revenues, new revenues in the budget. I don't know what her threshold level is.
I don't either.
What's the contingency plan then? Would there be if she vetoes the budget, a special session immediately called?
I don't know, but yeah, she'd call a special session.
For June.
If she's asking if your experience, she vetoes the budget unless it's done early, and we know we're going to a special session. You think right away?
Yes, we can actually go into what's concurrent.
Running at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, and have a special session
Just about budget.
right. And that could be going on last week. I mean, the goal is to get the budget out a week or two early.
Yeah.
They're wanting to do it 2 weeks, but
That's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
yeah. So there'll be JCAB bills and stuff running Monday.
Yeah.
The
So-
federal government can do continuing resolutions and so on. Is that, has somebody checked into the legality of that in Oklahoma? I don't know.
Yeah, we can do it. We could just do a continuing resolution for, you know, a 2-month period or something, and then come back, or however long we think it's gonna, you know, gonna take.
Would that be at the same appropriation amount, or would it be with
Well, with your
15% cut?
Well, it would be the same as with all the cuts, all automatic cuts that have come in.
Okay. I'm just trying to
No,
plan
yeah,
ahead.
no, we appreciate that, and I'm sorry I don't have the answer.
Well,
and I didn't mean Senator
I don't think
Bryce
anybody
Marlatt here. I
does,
don't mean
really.
to throw him under the bus, walk in the door, and throw you
No.
under the bus. But I didn't
fine.
know the answer to that question, so I don't
Yeah.
know that, and so. But,
We've done that before. I think we've done the concurrent resolution before. We've actually thought we were going to have to at one point.
You know, 6 week, they had a special session. We didn't do our budgets till July, but it was a new revenue situation. So it was a positive, not a negative. And, you know, that worked fine. We just did budgets in July and went from there. But
yeah, see, every extra day we're in session, it's 125,000 or my
Something
other.
like that.
Yeah, $125,000 across the state. And yes, but I mean, that's not what we want. We want to get in and out, get it done. So, I think that's pretty. Any other questions for me? Gosh.
It's the rain.
It's all right.